We will open the September 18th, 2023 Architecture Board of Review. And first item of general business is public comment. If there's anybody here or virtual that has a comment. Oh, first of all,
We'll start with roll call first.
yeah, let's do that.
We'll do that.
Who are these people?
thank you.
Especially special roll call today.
All right, I'll proceed with roll call. So Vice Chair Six,
Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Here.
Board Member Noon,
Here.
Board Member Whalen,
Here.
Board Member Sofrin.
Here.
We have a quorum, thank you.
All right, good. Now we can go on to public comment.
Thank you, Vice Chair Six. I'll go ahead and start with in-person public comment. At this time, I haven't received any speaker slips, but just as a reminder, if anyone wishes to speak in person, you can fill out a speaker slip by the back door for public comment. I don't see anyone moving to speak, so I'll go ahead and move to virtual public comment. If you wish to speak on Zoom at this time, you can raise your hand and I'll call on you. I don't see any hands raised on Zoom, and we also did not receive any written correspondence, so I'll turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Six.
Being that the case, we will close public general comment and move on to approval of the Architectural Board Review meeting of August 21st. We have that up on the board.
Thank you, Vice Chair Six. At the August 21st Architectural Board of Review consent hearing, we had 220 North La Cumbre. That received, is this a consent hearing? No. So this is a full board hearing item. I won't go through this, but it's up on the screen if you guys want to.
All right.
The board wants to go through it.
So do I have a motion for approval of that?
Motion to approve.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there any discussions? I have one small item on item 2 on my comments. Yes, right there on the first line, between the buildings, to switch things up, let's say to move massing more to the central area. Is the maker and seconder okay with that change?
Yes, approved.
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor.
Right, Vice Chair Six,
Yes.
Board Member Anderson,
Abstain, I was absent.
Board Member Noon,
Yes.
Board Member Whalen,
Yes.
Board Member Safran.
Abstain?
Motion passes.
Do we have a quorum on that, or?
It can be majority vote, so that works.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Then moving on to the consent calendars, first for August 28th.
Thank you, Vice Chair Six. We had item A, 1187 Coast Village Road. That received project design and final approval. Item B, 1435 Gillespie Street. This item was continued 2 weeks with the following comments. And that was the only 2 items for the August 28th consent hearing. Thank you.
Have a maker.
Motion to approve.
All right, a seconder.
Second?
Ms. Anderson, yes. So we have a motion on the floor?
Right, Vice Chair Six.
Yes?
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Noon,
Yes.
Board Member Whalen,
Yes.
Board Member Safran.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, then September 18th, today.
Last.
September 11th will be the next one, but
Oh, okay.
I will open that one
Oh,
up.
there's 3 of them, okay.
So for September 11th consent review, we had one item, 1435 Gillespie Street, and that received project design approval and final approval with the following conditions and findings.
Okay, do I have a maker?
I move to approve the minutes.
Ms. Anderson?
And I'll second.
Mr. Whalen? Have a motion?
Vice Chair Six.
Yes?
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Noon,
Yes.
Board Member Whalen,
Yes.
Board Member Safran.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All righty, then the 18th.
Thank you, Vice Chair Six. So we had one item today, 1418 Euclid Avenue, and that received project design and final approval as submitted.
All righty.
I move to approve the minutes.
Ms. Anderson?
I'll second.
Mr. Whalen? Have a motion?
All right, Vice Chair Six.
Yes?
Board Member Anderson,
Yes.
Board Member Noon,
Yes.
Board Member Whalen,
Yes.
Board Member Safran.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All righty, then moving on to announcements, requests for applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items and appeals.
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair Six. Ellen Kokenda, Design Review Supervisor. I just want to welcome our new board member, Will Safran, and very thrilled to have you on the ABR and having a full established ABR, which it's been a little while, and so very appreciative of your interest, and we had a chance to go through all of the paperwork and all the design guidelines and everything. So I don't know if you want to say a few words and just introduce yourself.
Well, thanks for having me on board, and all pun intended. And I'm looking forward to learning from you guys and helping to continue to make Santa Barbara such a great place to be a part of.
Well, welcome to the board.
Thank you. Excellent. And then on a related note, the city clerk's office recently started the fall 2023 recruitment. So we do have a couple of board members whose terms are ending at the end of December, and I've already reached out to those board members to make them aware and see if they're interested in reapplying. So the application deadline is Friday, October 6th at 5 p.m. There's everything to apply is online and through the city clerk's office, and I will be following up with those particular board members. And then as part of any recruitment process, even if you have served on a board before, you have to do the required interview at City Council. So there are 3 established dates at City Council to do the interview, and then the appointments will be set on Tuesday, December 5th at the City Council meeting. So we'll be following up with that.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Yeah, thank you.
So with that, I don't think we have any subcommittees that are active right now, so no reports. Any other announcements from staff? So we can jump right into our one and only pre-application item is 336 North Milpas. And this is a proposal to demolish existing 1,723 square foot service station and a 971 square foot canopy and construct a new 1,876 square foot self-serve car wash with 7 proposed parking spaces. So your applicants are welcome to come up and introduce yourselves and describe your project.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Scott Branch. I'm the architect for the project. And yeah, if you guys are familiar with this site, it could look better. The owner wants to put in a car wash instead of the ex-service station / tire storage that's there now. So, yeah, so that's what we're proposing, and you know, I'll get into it here. Let me see. Is it? Whoops, sorry. So,
Excuse me, do we need site photos, or are we all familiar with this corner? Anybody need more context information? Yes? Yeah. Do you have-
So to the applicant, the photos would be the second tab at the very top of this.
oh, got it.
Yep.
Okay, here you go. Let me orient myself. Okay, here we go. So here's the existing tire shop right there. And you can see Milpas. We're on the corner of Milpas and Montecito, right in the corner of the Trader Joe's parking lot. Go down to, next one, here's a shot from just down the street. It's got this great canopy tree, which is proposed to remain. And then this is looking at it directly from the intersection. And you can see all the tires stored up there. I mean, that's what we're getting rid of. So the idea is to get rid of this and replace it with a car wash, which will come in from the Montecito side. It'll be a one-way process where you'll come in this side and then come out down by this tree as a right turn only. So this will be the entry that you would come in to the car wash. And just another shot of it, looking down Milpas. And then this is looking down Montecito towards the Trader Joe's, which is there, and this corner right here would be the property as well, with the slump stone wall. So what we're proposing is a 4-bay car wash right here, with the required trash enclosure, people would come in here, come through here. Down here, we have some parking, and these are the vacuum bays right here. And then people would come out right here underneath this tree. And like I said, it's a right turn only. So you'll come in from this side and then come out here. This is just the floor plan of the actual car wash. This would be the elevations. It's a simple, and it's utilizing the colors of the car wash that is the family business. So that's kind of the idea. That's just a rough sort of model of it. And here's sort of the elevations of the trash enclosure. But what we did do is do a photo rendering of it, and we have an idea that might, it's to get this to work, it kind of fills the site up from east to west pretty good. So what we thought, here's the view of from across the street of Milpas looking at the site, and then here it is with the trash enclosure and then the car wash. And so what we thought, because it has to come right up to the edge, we sort of thought this is a great spot to maybe do a mural. We've reached out to the VADA department at the high school about the idea of proposing maybe a mural on this spot that would be something in homage to the history of this area. Not just anything, but something that pertains to the area specifically. That's a negotiation that's in process. We've got a lot of back and forth going, but that's a kind of an idea, since we're in the conceptual stage and we're kind of spitballing this, and coming to you guys for a litmus test as to what do you guys think of it. That's pretty much it. I will say, as we're working out the bugs, I think we're supposed to have 10% landscaping on the site, which is going to be a challenge. But it looks like what we're going to do, we don't have a landscape plan yet, but this corner area and then the area where the vacuums are going to be is probably going to be our best bet to get something, just because of how full it's going to be, just for the access that we're going to need for moving around the site. So in a nutshell, that's it. And if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
All right, thank you. With that, we will open public comment on this item.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair Six. I'll go ahead and start with in-person public comment. At this time, I haven't received any speaker slips for this item, but just as a reminder, if you do wish to speak in person, you can fill out a speaker slip by the back door for public comment. I don't see anyone moving to speak, so I'll go ahead and move to virtual public comment. If you wish to speak online at this time, you can raise your hand and I'll call on you. I don't see any hands raised on Zoom, and we also did not receive any written correspondence for this item, so I'll turn it back over to you, Vice Chair Six.
All right, thank you very much. Therefore, we'll close public comment and bring it to the board for questions. Who would like to start?
Mr. Vice Chair, may I just jump in really quick?
excuse
And
me.
just, we've got new board members. I just kind of want to go through, this is a one-time pre-application consultation. And just as a reminder, the applicants are interested in early design input. This isn't a formal application, so So we do not route this to any other city division or department. So it's really just to try to get them before the board to get that early input and identify any other things needed. So again, that's kind of the input that this applicant's looking for. Thank
So
you.
there will be no need for a formal motion? It will be just comments
Just
only
comments
by
only.
each individual
Correct.
board member? Okay,
Correct.
thanks. So who would like to start with questions?
I can start.
Ms. Anderson?
Yeah, first for staff. So the car wash is an allowed use in this zone, correct?
I'm not 100% sure, but I can find that answer relatively quick.
But to my earlier point, there's no zoning review. We're not
No
routing
review
this.
at
It's
all.
really just kind of like get the application or, get a pre-application and get before you all. But that would be one of the things that we check as part of our planning application review.
Okay, all right. Okay, so then for the applicant, you mentioned that this was a previous service station. Do you know if there's been any remediation done to the site, or will that be proposed as part of this application?
I think if it's there, I'm sure it would be required, so.
Okay.
And if I may just add to that any environmental review will also be required as part of the formal planning application. So that's all information that we would request of the applicant and dig into if there's any kind of remediation required or any kind of storage tanks below or things like that.
Okay. And then do you have an idea of the operation hours of this car wash?
At this point,
No?
no.
Okay.
We're really just kind of floating the idea. 24/7.
Okay. I guess and then back to staff, do you know the status on the improvements to Milpas? I know there was talk a long time ago about improving all the sidewalks and going to one way, or like one lane in each direction.
To your question, Board Member Anderson, I understand that there are future plans for updates to Milpas Street and the public infrastructure and facilities and pedestrians and kind of being able to follow our different design standards for that, but not anything specific at this time. But again, once this comes in as a formal application, the applicant will need to follow all of the, kind of making sure that it meets all guidelines for transportation requirements and arborists and different elements.
Okay, I think I will hold my questions for comments.
All right, very good. Mr. Wayland?
Thank you, Chair Six or Vice Chair Six, and I must compliment Ms. Kokinda on her ability to read the minds of the board members, because my first question would have been, had it been to traffic engineering yet? You answered that question, but another question, are the Haley-Milpas design guidelines our governing planning document for this project?
It's in that corridor, so it is in that design district, so it would be applicable to this project, correct?
Despite their throwback era to 1979. Let's see. Those are really the only questions I had. Oh, Scott, do you happen to know the date the station was constructed, or Mr. Price?
The original one?
The original, the one that's existing now,
Probably, yeah, 60-something would be my guess.
60-something. But my question hovers around whether the guidelines were written before or after it was built. So that's all of my questions. Thank you.
All right, then, Mr. Newton,
I don't have any questions. Just have some comments.
and then Mr. Savin.
I don't have any questions.
All right, so I have a few questions. If we look at the site plan, it looks like there's a choke point for circulation between the trash and the rear corner of the building. Is that, people are cars are supposed to bypass it, or is that not?
This is for a couple of things. Number one, you want to, if somebody needs to come in and doesn't want to wash, but needs to get to the vacuum area only, which happens sometimes, you can't do that, if the bays are all full.
Yes.
You have to be able to get around that. But also, potential fire access, although they can access it from, it's not going to be an issue because the site's so small and they can access it from the other side. But
So the customer can, and you're proposing that have you confirmed the maneuverability of that choke point with car radiuses and so forth?
I've done a preliminary on it, but it's pretty tight.
Yes, okay.
And transportation, like she was saying, hasn't been looked at it yet.
All right. Yeah.
ATE did a circulation study of this,
Okay, all right.
and at this point, so
So,
we've not been informed that that does not work.
okay, very good. Is there, is it just a operational requirement, or is it a ordinance or required that you have that many vacuum bays? What I'm asking is that the bare minimum that was needed operationally, or is there a code that says you need so many vacuum bays?
I would say that is applicant request.
Okay,
I think, a lot of people come in and use those, and, we did it such, sometimes they have two per side, some have one. It's just conceptual at this point.
okay.
So,
So you don't have a landscape plan, but can you point out with your cursor where you anticipate the required amount of landscape to be?
in between these guys throughout here,
Uh-huh,
right? And we've got a little bit on the side here, plus this planter up there.
uh-huh.
And and we have a little strip here. We're
And how wide is that strip?
optimistic that we could get 10% of the site there, but we don't know yet for sure at this point. We're only this is about a foot away, so you got about 30 inches right here, something like that.
Mm-hmm. And the bay, the vacuum bay closest to the street,
This guy?
between that and the street, is that a landscape area, or what is that?
No, this is a parking spot at the moment.
So it's okay, very good. So could that be a landscape area?
It could if we're not required to have parking for that.
So you haven't discovered what the required parking, you haven't
Well,
worked
we've
that out
gone
yet?
through, to be honest, we've gone through a few iterations of this with more bays, less bays. But I believe what we're showing, if memory serves, is the required parking amount.
Absolute minimum, uh-huh.
I believe so.
Okay, that's where I wanted to get to.
The minimums you're required to have for a car wash for both parking and trash and recycling exceeds what you'd think you'd need
Oh,
on
yeah,
such a site.
I
so.
understand, okay. And then I think you answered in regards to the architecture, the blue color is a trademark, and,
Of the family business, yes.
okay. And will the flat roof is a flat roof because, is there a significant significant roof-mounted equipment on that flat roof, or is it?
It's flat because of how car washes are usually constructed. It's usually a steel deck up there. And it's basically just the nature of how car washes are historically built, so.
And then the I've seen some car washes where the mid walls between bays are completely up to the ceiling. Is that, and here you have steel columns.
Only,
Is that a,
only on some of them.
yeah, I understand. There's there's two of them,
There and there. These things are 8 feet high, and then you've got steel columns that go up from there to the ceiling.
So it could be more concealed if there's no functional reason it could not go all the way up.
Could go all the way up.
Okay, and then on that same regard there are a lot of, I know that the wand and the hose that drapes from the wand is exposed against the inner walls. Is there other plumbing that goes up those walls that would be exposed?
No, it's just the, you've got the bay, the bucket that holds the brush that's connected to the wand up above, and then the swivel arm that comes down, and this is the spray wand.
So all plumbing and spaghetti that get up into the attic to supply these things would be
Goes
From-
up in the roof, yeah.
up in the roof, up in the attic space? Not on the roof, but.
Not, oh, right, yeah, it's beneath the decking, but it's up.
Okay. Very good. So those are my questions. So anybody else have any further questions?
Yes, a follow-up question. Mr. Branch, do you have any notion about signage, whether that would appear on the building or as a monument?
There's an existing monument there, I believe, that I think they would want to reuse. I mean, of course, they're going to want signage. And, oh, he took that out. Wait, let me see up here. Yeah, you're seeing the side of it right there.
Yes. Very good.
I would
And
think they'd
then
want to reuse that.
one more question back to, if you could go back to the plan. Is there some programmatic need to have the, how shall I call it, the central storage building in the middle of the bays? Is that a program-driven?
Yeah.
And what is the driving program that puts it there?
That,
Pardon my interruption. I would love if you wish to answer, just for TV viewers, we won't pick up your sound.
And just make sure you state your name for the record, too. Thank you.
Price. You want the equipment room in the center. You want the equipment room in the center is because when you're in there, you hit the selector switch. If the equipment room's on one side or the other, it takes too long for the product to get there, and people pay per the second. So it has to be in the middle.
So you're saying, when you say the product, that's all the water and the soap and
Right,
all
wax
those
and everything else.
flow? So
Yeah, probably
it's like my water heater at home that's in the garage
Yeah.
and it takes, okay. Thanks very
So
much,
As far as the
Mr.
signage,
Price.
the only thing we need inside's the operational signage on the interior walls and one monument sign. That's all we need.
Very good. Thank you for that very clear explanation.
So I have an additional question as long as Mr. Price is here. Is the blue color trademark that a essential requirement? It kind of dates the project, and the architecture would be more, have more options if the color blue was not essential.
We could work with that.
All right, thank you.
I have a follow-up question quickly.
All right.
It appears maybe in the rendering and the elevation that you, on the trash enclosure, do you intend it to be covered or is it uncovered?
it'll be covered.
Okay. That's my question.
The trash enclosure drawings here are showing it covered. But I don't know that that got picked up in the rendering. I
Okay.
don't think it did.
Yep.
Yeah, we could tone that blue down.
All right, so who would like to start with comments?
I can start quickly. So I guess to begin with, I think you had already mentioned that you'll come back with landscaping. From an operational standpoint, I understand you want a vacuum per space, but, if you could maybe look at more landscaping, if that means you consolidate some of the vacuums. That's an operational thing, but obviously landscaping would be encouraged. And then the other thing, coming back, we would want to see more photos of surrounding area. I struggle with this one on compatibility. I don't know that it really fits the neighborhood at all. So I will defer to my other board members, but that is the direction, I guess, that I would want my comments to go.
Thank you,
at this
Mr.
point.
Noon. Mr. Whalen?
Yes, I'll pick up on Mr. Noon's point. I would really like the proponent to return with a thorough understanding of the Haley-Milpas design guidelines and how the project reflects those guidelines. Specifically, the guidelines talk about human-scaled pedestrian environment, attention to the details, interest and feeling that they create. They encourage a compatible mixed use, but that one's off the table, right? You're not going to do that. It does encourage continuity and consistency and harmony of design, as Mr. Noon was relating to. It also calls, this is rather shocking, for a 20-foot setback recommended for planting. Well, there goes the project. But that reinforces the idea that the guidelines are calling out for the Milpas to be a pedestrian environment, and as such should have a landscape buffer between the structure rather than just what's left over. Perhaps that wall of that last bay can even be extended to become something more than just a place to put a mural. I'm not against the mural, but if that wall could be broken up and articulated, its massing broken down to a more human scale, and perhaps even create frames for different murals, because those things sort of change over time. Again, to reinforce that the challenge here is to express some human qualities and scale with not much to work with. So this is a big challenge for you and your firm, Mr. Branch. There should be an awareness of the neighborhood. Now, if I interpreted the guidelines correctly, there is no style on this block, but right across the street is, the guidelines call it Latin, I believe, but we now call this Spanish Colonial Revival. And there's even the tiniest bit of flavor on the existing gas station with the tile roof. There's really, that's all lost in what we're seeing now. So you know what I'm talking about, not to go on too long. And in lieu of Mr. Black not being here, I would like the assurance of an arborist report that the roots that are going to be removed on the existing street tree for the new driveway, that is compatible, that an arborist will sign off on it. Thank you, Mr. Six.
Ms. Anderson?
Yes, I don't see how a self-serving gas station is a community benefit in this location, or nor does it really fit into the neighborhood. And I feel like the traffic is going to be a big issue, especially in one of the busiest corners of Milpas. I don't think that tree is going to make it through construction. I don't think you're going to be able to see people coming down Milpas with that tree there trying to turn right. There's a bus stop right to the south of that. There's the in and out area into Trader Joe's right there. I I think the only good thing that I see coming out of this is an opportunity for a mural. I think landscape is an issue. I think stormwater is going to be an issue. And then regarding the actual architecture, just like the other board member said, it doesn't fit in. It's not compatible with the neighborhood at the moment and should be further studied.
That's the architecture, correct?
Yes. And I would be concerned about lighting since you're offering 24/7 service. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Mr. Sovereign. You,
Well, I think everyone else here has said a lot of what I would say. I'd just probably call out, like in part 1 in the architectural design guidelines, and section 2, architectural imagery 1.2.2. I could read the whole paragraph, but right here, there's this sentence of, one of the ABR's stated goals is to encourage the preservation of pre-1925 and Hispanic styles of architecture. And I think that the form of your project, this is a great opportunity to really try and figure out how you could continue to develop this project so it would be more cohesive with the neighborhood and the surrounding structures. As presented, it seems a little, to me, I feel it's a little jarring, considering what's around it. So that would be my comment.
all right, thank you. Mr. Sovereign. I agree with my board members. I think there's, well, besides the non-architectural issues, which are going to be a lot, I think that the architecture here is, well, first of all, there's I think there's too much program to fit on this site, and I think a landscape is needed. I think that, I think if the landscape screening is not adequate depth around the perimeters, that one should start looking at screen walls and so forth. For instance, this front elevation, it seems like there could be a combination of another Milpas wall that screens going to the left of your main wall, at a significant height of, 5-6 feet. And then also the trash unit could be more of a screen wall, and then with the trash nestled behind that screen wall. I think that it's landscape screening. I think people have mentioned the architecture needs a lot of finesse. I think it's been said that it needs to have a character that has some connection with the MOPS HALA guidelines. So there's, I think there's a lot of work to be done here to make it acceptable architecturally. Does anybody care to? Oh, that's it.
So the reason why I'm here, that tenant wants a long-term lease, the tire store.
Come into the microphone.
Sorry. The reason I'm here is that tenant wants a long-term lease on the tire store. So I asked Scott just to put together a quick plan, go take everybody's temperature, which I just got. But I think it's better suited. We'll discuss it more, but it's probably better suited just as a tire store. That's what I'm looking at for it.
Yeah, I think there's too much there.
Well, I'm okay with a redesign.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that and softening up doing that, but to answer your question, why do we have so many parking stalls? Because somebody will come in and wash their car, and they'll sit there in a vacuum stall for 15 or 20 minutes, as where another guy vacuums for 5 and he's gone.
Yeah.
So you always need extra
So,
spots.
I couldn't help but, there's a project a similar project at the entrance to La Cumbre, 5 Points, south of 110, where the old animal hospital used to be.
Right.
And, you know, certainly that's a different standard. It's a, you know, one car through and, you know, a different neighborhood. But, you know, that is also a significant corner, as yours is a significant corner. So somewhere in between, we need to find a quality that, you know, is appropriate to that
Sure.
significant corner.
Maybe we come back with a single tunnel like La Cumbre. Might not be a bad idea,
So,
but automatic one building and be
Yes.
done with it.
And Mr. Vice Chair, if I just may say something to the applicants, we also, so this is a one-time design consultation, but we also have services that we could do a full zoning review or kind of a, you know, include transportation and get to some of the, you know, the more specific programming elements that could come into play if there are outstanding questions about that. And so that's just another service. But again, I know that that wasn't part of your original request.
It was for taking temperatures.
To kind of understand how different city departments might look at something and what are all the approvals that would be required in addition to ABR if needed.
Unfortunately, I know all those departments work. So,
I hope our comments have been helpful and
Yeah.
give you direction.
yeah, thank
All
you.
right,
We're
thank
good.
you. That being the end of the final and only item, we will adjourn the September 18th ABR meeting.